Hi, and welcome to the Momversation Club. I'm Claire Strong.
And I'm Christina Struckmeyer. We're two moms just like you, navigating the nitty-grittiness of modern motherhood and taking you along with us as we talk about the topics that nobody talks about.
And today we're talking about all the unspoken rules of parenthood and the secret things we all know about, or at least we should know. Hi, Christina.
Hey, Claire. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's everything going at the farm? Because for those of our listeners that don't know, you're up in Northern California living the farm life, and I'm down here in Southern California.
Living that busy city life over there.
Well, city/beach. We need to throw the beach in there.
But things are good at the farm. We are in a season of decluttering. I'm sure people in the first quarter of the year probably align with this, but you're looking at all your stuff and going, okay, Christmas came through. We have January birthdays over here, and I'm like, okay, it's time to go in the garage and get rid of all the junk and go through my clothes and section those off. So it was fun because the other day I freshly laundered probably 3 totes worth of clothing from like all the different seasons of my life, like from maternity wear to like the tiniest, smallest version of myself to the middle. And I said, hey, I have some mom friends that are currently in this size. Why don't you guys come over and shop? And you can just have whatever you find.
That's a really good idea. And did you have some friends come over?
Yeah. It was kind of nice because they would pick things up and go, you have great style. And I go, oh, you shouldn't say that. It was like, oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So it was nice for your ego too.
Yeah, it was a nice ego brush. But speaking of farm, because I had done so much laundry, my farmhouse is from like the 1950s. And so our pump got overwhelmed with how much laundry I had done. And it stopped working for a couple days.
Oh my God, that's funny. Well, note to self, don't be so organized, Christina.
I know.
That's the takeaway.
That is the takeaway. But I am so excited about today because I was reminded of this as I was kind of talking to my mom friends the other day when they came over for shopping my closet of all these like little tidbits. Because in my friendship group, there are a lot of first-time moms who, they're looking at me like I am the Mecca over here. Like I'm going to have knowledge and secrets. And then I have other moms who are more seasoned than me, and maybe they give me advice. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be nice to kind of hear some of those unspoken things we should all know, but we don't until we figure it out the hard way?
Yeah, I think this is a useful one because I'm still stepping in it, putting my foot in it, and my girls are teenagers. So this is going to be interesting. Why don't you go first? Because you're in a slightly different stage of parenting to me. You still have a toddler and a 10-year-old. So refresh my memory about things that I really should remember if I have kids those ages, and that would be just helpful pieces of advice.
For sure. Okay, so the first one, it's funny because I ran into a mom who did not know this lesson and learned the hard way when we were at Ross the other day. And that is when you are taking a toddler to the bathroom with you, never, ever, ever go in the handicap stall. Because the thing about it is toddlers know how to open locks. Oh. And this poor lady at the Ross, her daughter was by herself in the bathroom. She couldn't have been more than 2-3 years old. And we walked in to use the potty as well. And I saw this little girl just standing there by herself. And then the handicap stall was wide open, no parent to be found. And this poor mother, pants down around her ankles, is scurrying, covering her lady bits, trying to scoop up this toddler and shut the door. And I was like, I got you, girl. I helped her scooch her in. I'm gonna hold the door for her while she peed.
That is, I've had some close calls like that actually. And, I think it transcends the handicap stall as well. I think it's just generally public bathrooms, full stop, be very careful. If you have a toddler in there, they're very creative, they're
They
very
are.
inquisitive, and it could end up in an embarrassing situation for mum.
Seriously, and especially when they can talk, because they can ask questions about the things they're seeing in the stall. They can talk about the smells they're smelling, or if anybody else tooted in the bathroom, like they'll loudly announce, like, I heard a toot. It's hilarious. And mine likes to crawl under the stall and like go hello to other people.
Christina, oh my God. That's a seriously embarrassing recipe cooking away right there. So, oh my God. Okay,
yes. So the unspoken rule is, if you have to, first off, don't beware in public restrooms. Okay. But if you have to go to the bathroom, if you have a toddler, I would recommend choosing a smaller stall, because then you can have one hand on your toddler while you're also trying to wipe your own butt, you know?
Oh my God. The other idea would be if someone would be good enough to take your toddler so you could actually go to the bathroom in peace, that's even better. That would be my suggestion.
That's a better suggestion.
And as I say here in Southern California, that can be gnarly. Gnarly.
So that's my toddler mom in the thick of it, like just freshly saw that. What about you? Because you're like you said, you're in a different season of life. You've got teen girls. What is your wisdom to share?
So I was reminded of this just this morning on the school run. Okay, so couple of things to note here. When you have teenagers, unspoken rule, all mums must know, don't push them to talk if they don't want to talk to you. And well, in my opinion, in my experience, the time when this is most prevalent is either on the school run or after school, mainly after school, I would say. Don't ask your teen all about their day. Don't start a 10-minute conversation with them, because in my experience, they're so done with school, they're so exhausted mentally and emotionally, the last thing they want to do is talk to you about their day. In fact, my eldest will say to me, Mum, don't talk to me right now, please, because I'm overwhelmed. My brain can't function anymore. I'll talk to you about it later. But I should know this. I have teenagers, right? And I still proceed to try and make conversation, and I get reminded to stop that. So the unspoken rule is, don't push your teen to talk if they don't want to talk. Now, for my girls, as I've said, the school run tends to be, particularly at the end of the day, tends to be the time when it's not an appropriate situation or circumstance to start a wonderful conversation. But for other mums, it might be different. And actually, I'd like to hear from teen mums. Do you also have this issue? I'm sure you probably do. But when is it that you just know, oh my God, I can't push my teen now, or if you have put your foot in it, like I still do, I want to know, because surely I'm not on my own with this one.
I don't think you are, and I think it makes sense, because you need that decompression time. You think about people who have a commute to work, and they have that time before work where they can kind of mentally prepare, and that time after when they're coming home where they can kind of let go of the day. Moms who are stay-at-homes don't get that. Like, I get woken up by a poke in the eye and I'm on the clock immediately, and I'm off the clock never. I'm always checking the monitor to make sure she's sleeping. But yeah, I think for teens that could be really important to kind of, and then maybe dinner time is the time you bring up whatever.
And now a quick break in the Momversation to bring you a word from today's sponsor.
Raise your hand if you love shopping for jeans. Well, if you're listening with a hand up, then you're in the minority, because for most of us, it's a nightmare.
Waist gaps, unclear sizing, fluorescent lights, unflattering fits. I am sweating just thinking about it. What if we could skip all of that and just have the perfect pair magically transported to us?
Well, that's where today's sponsor, Neem's Jeans, comes in. This women-owned business was created by someone who understands the struggle and offers custom denim jeans made to your exact body measurements, delivered right to your door.
Neem's Jeans gives you the perfect fit every time, guaranteed, and offers inclusive sizings for every body. Moms, you are one of a kind, and your jeans should be too. Visit NamesJeans.com and use code Momversation15 at checkout for 15% off your order.
That's NEEMSjeans.com and code Momversation15 for your special savings.
In that same vein, like, if your kid is content, let them be. I think that's a big one. Never take a child away from something they are enjoying to go to something that they might enjoy. And it can be really frustrating at times. I know for me, there'll be a time where maybe I bought a bunch of toys for that kid for their birthday and all they want to play with is the box. Or maybe we're at the pumpkin patch and I spent like $150 at this damn pumpkin patch and all they want to do is like play in the dirt. And I'm like, we have dirt at home. That's not $150. But they're enjoying it. And so I think that as parents, the unspoken rule is don't mess with it. Like, don't look that shit in the eye. Like, let them be happy because they're not, they're not pissing you off. They're not doing anything crazy, not hurting anybody. Like, let them have like their play rock or stick or, play in the dirt, whatever it is. If they're content, leave them be. And that can be hard for first-time moms, especially if you're excited. Like, oh my God, look, we got to have this experience the way I envisioned it in my head. And it's like, your toddler has other plans, or your, 5-year-old or 9-year-old, or even probably your teen. Like, expectation versus what they actually want to do.
Yeah. Well, I've got another one that I have to use on a daily basis with my teens. And this is, don't judge or overreact. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Last night, my 14-year-old was chatting to me and my eldest daughter about starting high school next year. And she was asking my eldest daughter about some, like slang terms that she's heard for, boys and girls, let's just say dating. I'm just going to say dating.
Okay,
and
I'm preparing.
I was like, okay, so and so this was at the dinner table. The three of us were there. My husband's away working right now, so it's just us three girls. And she's like, so talking to her sister. So I'm starting high school next year, and I've heard this term, used at school. And what does it mean? People say it, and I'm not sure. And I'm like, oh God. And I look at my eldest daughter. I'm like, I'm not sure this is appropriate. And my eldest daughter's like, Mom, she has to know these things. They're all talking about it. She can't not know. It's not good to be uninformed. So I just shut my mouth and let them have this conversation. Now, part of me wanted to jump in and shut the thing down because it was making me feel uncomfortable because I don't know, whether I'm supposed to be not encouraging this, obviously, but participating, I would say, in a conversation with the teenagers at the ages that they're at. But I was like, if I jump in now and I'm heavy-handed and I'm like, this is not appropriate, we don't talk, you're far too young to know about this type of thing, all that I'm going to do is shut down that line of communication. So just to reiterate the point, do not, especially with teens, overreact or come across as too judgy because it will not work in your favor. Now, look, they're always going to have secrets from you, even if you've got a great relationship with them. They just are. We were all teenagers once. We don't tell our mums everything. But yes, but don't jump in there with, on your moral high horse, because that will just make them not want to come to you.
Gosh, I'm wrecking my brain for like what she could have said, but I'm thinking about like what. No, you do not have to say it. Like we're on a show to get in trouble.
Use her imagination. She's 14. She's at middle school.
I was thinking back to what was something that I would have been curious about at 14, and I remember my mom wasn't very open, so I wouldn't have a conversation like that in front of her ever. But you do want your kids to be able to bring things to you, so you have to practice your poker face.
You do, and that's what I was doing. And inside, I was thinking, "Oh my God, please get me the hell out of here!" Anything. Then I was thinking, no, I've got to set a good example because I don't want, I mean, I would never have had that conversation with my mom. No way. I would have been so embarrassed. I kept anything like that from her. So I didn't want to be that way. And so I was like, you've just gotta buckle up here, and be the, adult in the room and just let them talk, because it wasn't that she was wanting to go and, enact any of this.
She's curious.
She was curious, and she'd heard the slang terminology.
100%.
About at school, and she just wanted to be informed and didn't want to be like the odd one out and, someone that didn't know anything.
And you don't want to do that as a teen. Like, as a young teen, you don't want to be embarrassed by a lack of knowledge. Thankfully she asked her sister and didn't go on the internet and search whatever term it was. Because that's something we didn't have at our disposal back in the day.
Yeah, I know. But, if you've got girls, this also extends to when they start their periods, for example. And, some girls are starting their periods very young. I mean, I was pretty late when I started my period. But again, don't be, shocked or, don't come across as like you're putting pressure on them or you're judging them, because it's just, you want them to be able to come to you about things. And sometimes I'll just warn you now, Christina, you're going to be uncomfortable. They'll make you feel uncomfortable because you're not quite sure in that moment. Are you the friend? Are you the parent? Are you both? Are you the, medical advisor? Are you, what exactly?
Where's my role? Like, what do I...
hat you need to wear in that moment. So it's a constant thing. But yes, so that's another unspoken rule. Do not overreact or be judgy.
Yeah. Get really good at your, like, calm face. Like, oh, what do you think?
Believe me, behind closed doors, I am roiling. I'm like, oh my God, this is just awful. I can't wait to get out of it. I need to call my friend. I don't know what do the whole thing. But I'm putting on a calm and composed front for the 14-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'll bring it back to the youngers. But still, again, in the same vein, it's funny because some of this stuff, it like starts here and it goes there. But keeping that poker face, never acknowledge when your kid hurts themselves right away.
Oh,
that would be the
great one.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, use your judgment. Like, if they've fallen from a tree and they've broken their arm, like, we acknowledge that, right? But, like, so many times my toddler has bumped her little head or, like, ran into a wall or did something crazy. And I'm just like, huh? Like, don't say anything right away because your reaction is going to indicate whether they're going to cry or not. Yeah. And then I'll do it with other people's kids too. Like, my friend brought her son over and he bumped his little head on our china cabinet, and I like waited to like nobody say anything. And then he walked around and he looked at me and I was like, good job taking that hit to the head, man. You are strong. And like, I made it a positive thing. And he was like not even upset about it. It's our reactions are so much like they inform the children's reactions. And so
they do.
If you're a first-time mom, it can be so easy to, like, your kid falls and scrapes their knee and you go, oh, my gosh, baby, let me get you a Band-Aid, If you just give them a second, let them determine, like, the severity of the reaction and respond to that.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And historically, I have not been very good at that. I tell you, if it's something emotional or like a conversation, I do a better job at keeping calm and keeping a poker face. But if there's blood involved, if they've hurt themselves, I am not good in that situation.
Yeah. Well, I've had much practice. My kids hurt themselves all the time. Like my daughter, my oldest daughter, she broke half of her tooth off last couple of years ago, I guess a year and a half ago. Yeah, it was like her front adult tooth. She fell and she hit the pavement and it just broke right off. And there was blood everywhere and everybody was freaking out. And I was by myself at the time. And I had to, at first I was like, same rule, like don't acknowledge what happened right away. Maybe she just hurt herself. But then I saw the blood and I was like, oh, let's get you to the bathroom.
Oh my God. I remember that day. I remember you texting me later to tell me about it. Yeah, that was pretty horrendous.
Traumatic. So obviously use your best judgment. Like if there's a lot of blood, we go right into action mode, I think.
Yeah. Another one that springs to mind is using the word no too much. And no is a really easy default setting as a parent because it kind of like just excuses you from whatever is coming next. It's kind of easy in some ways, unless they throw a tantrum when you say no, and then maybe it's not the easy option. But what I would say is, unless you have a good reason to say no, don't just say no to everything.
Yeah.
Like light-hearted example would be one of my girls wants some friends to stay over tonight. It's Friday night. She'd like to have 2 friends over for a sleepover. My parents' default setting would have been no to that. And if I'd have pressed them on it, they wouldn't have been able to have given me a proper reason. They just didn't fancy it. It just wasn't, they felt it was too much hassle, too much effort. They didn't want to be bothered. But with things like that, I do, instead of automatically saying no, I'll even say sometimes, let me just think about it. Okay. If I'm in the car and I get a call, Mum, can I this? Can I that? Can I go here? Can I go there? If I'm not sure about it, but I don't necessarily want to say no straight away because it's not a clear-cut situation where it requires a no, I give myself an out. I give myself a couple of minutes just to actually think through, what my answer is going to be. So you don't need to reply there and then to a lot of situations, just to say that it's okay to say some, even if you've got younger kids, Mummy needs a few minutes. I've got to have a think about this and then I'll get back to you. That's what I do with my teens, because sometimes I don't want to say no because I don't think it is a no, but in that moment, I don't know exactly how that's going to play out and how I can make it work. So I need some time. So don't always say no.
I like that. It's kind of also like reserving your no, right? When you do say no, it means a lot more.
It's more effective. And then you can, as you have to quite often with teenagers, you can then kind of reason with them and use it, examples of, for example, whoever it is you're talking to, just last week, you asked for a sleepover. I said yes. So as you can see, I am generally very accommodating. But when I say no, it means no, it's for these reasons.
Let the record show that 3 out of 5 times I said yes to this.
Suggests.
My God.
It's something that, again, I've had to learn over the years. I can't remember where I read this. It was an article I was reading, and it was actually talking about this. And in that article, they did say, whoever the author was, I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but that was the crux of the article, that no is used as a get out for parents a lot of the time, and just make sure you're using it correctly.
That's such a good idea. Yeah. In my situation with the toddler, there's so many creative ways to say no. So I haven't hit the yes or no, I need an answer right now stage. Because right now I can say, oh, the park is closed. Like, they close at 3 today. I didn't know that, right? What a bummer. I can lie. Yeah. She's going to start learning how to tell time and be like, why is the park closed at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday? That's weird. But yeah, no, I get it. Oh, man. Well, okay. So getting back to our list here, I do have one that stood out like the minute we thought of this topic, which is when your kid is doing something well, so whether it's sleeping through the night or, the teething's done, or insert like proud accomplishment here, do not say that shit out loud. Do not say it out loud. Do not tell others. The reason being is the minute you say it out loud, it almost always stops being the case. And it's always been that way with my kids. I don't know if they can hear me, like they have supersonic hearing or what, but I'll be like, oh my God, it's so great. My 2-month-old sleeping through the night, blah, 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 blah. And like the night that I said that, like we have every hour wake ups, or I'll say something like, oh my gosh, my ex-husband's been really agreeable lately, like so wonderful. And then he's doing some asshole move, it's like... the minute you say something out loud. So mostly in parenthood, but also in life, keep it to yourself. Like silently, don't look it in the eye, like share with your partner. Like, and I always say like, wow, what a nice night of sleeping. That was a great gift. Full stop. Like I'm not bragging about anything because they'll humble me real quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, as moms, we get humbled on a daily basis. I mean, sometimes several times a day for me. It all depends on what's going down. The other thing I just want to add off the back of that, and again, I'm really relating this to teenagers because they do have supersonic hearing, but kids are clever and they do hear. Don't have discussions in the house with a partner, for example, that you wouldn't want the kids to hear while the kids are in the house. For example, my husband and I will sometimes talk about finances. We think we're doing it in our bedroom. Well, we are in our bedroom when we're having the talk. But, our walls are thin. Our house is very open. So the kids hear those conversations. So don't have, if you're having private conversations that involve things that the kids either don't need to know about or they're not age appropriate for the kids, have them somewhere that's a very secure location, because you don't want to be in a situation where they've overheard stuff that they really don't need to overhear, because it can cause trauma depending what the subject is. And yeah, it's just not, it's not great. So that would be an unspoken rule.
I think that
needs to be kept from the kids. Have in a different location. Make sure the kids are literally not in the house, because believe me, especially as they get older, they hear everything.
Yeah, I think that rule applies to all seasons of parenthood once they're able to talk, to be honest.
Yeah,
because even right now we're experiencing that. My toddler recently, I was talking to her and changing her diaper, or not her diaper, but her pull-up. And I was changing her pull-up and she goes, "I'm not mad at you, Mommy. You're not mad at me." And I was like, no one's mad. No one's mad. And I remembered, she's listening to me and Alex talk to each other. And I, fully outing myself, I have anxious attachment. And I will often, if Alex is not talking for a few minutes or sighs heavily, be like, "Oh, are you mad at me?" It's so annoying. He hates it. It's a thing. And I'm like, "I'm checking in with you." And I should say, "Hey, checking in. Is everything okay?" But instead I'm using, "Are you mad at me?" And now my toddler is repeating that. And so to your point, the teens are hearing this very nuanced conversation that isn't meant for their ears, but also your smaller children are taking in things that you don't even know they're taking in.
Well, and some of them are unspoken. I mean, like you said, just your husband sighing. My husband does that. Is it a guy thing? I don't know.
I don't do that.
I don't do that. What's going on with these guys?
I do it up here. I do a lot of sighs and eye rolls in my head.
Yeah, so my husband does this, and so without saying anything, he's created an atmosphere. And I will ask him about it, and 9 times out of 10, he doesn't know he's done it.
No,
but kids can pick up on that. So you're right. It doesn't even need to be some blazing argument or some really in-depth conversation. Just things like sighing or not acknowledging somebody, that when you walk into a room, those types of things can really translate to kids and they pick up on it. So so it's just be aware of what you're saying and what you're doing and what the other adults in the house are saying and doing, because they can absolutely impact your kids, mental health and all of that.
Yeah. Well, I have one final one that I kind of wanted to leave off on my side of the fence here. And it's that the unspoken rule of parenthood is respect other parents.
That's a great one.
I think that one of the, I guess 2 of the things that I will say when it comes to that rule, as a little bullet point list, is one of the big ones is if your kid is sick, keep them home. And don't say that it's just allergies or they're just sneezing today and you don't know why. If there's a situation, respect other parents. The unspoken rule that we have is this accord where if we are respectful of one another's households. And so on my side, I might really be looking forward to a play date or something, and my kid starts hacking up her lungs over there, and I'm like, "Hey, my so-and-so is coughing a lot right now. I'm not sure what that's about, but I wanted to give you a heads up. Do you still want to do the play date?" That is their choice to make from there. If they're like, "You know what? I love germs. Come on over." That is their choice. But I always am upfront. And I think that that's a thing. And then also respecting the way other parents parent.
Yes, that's a big
within
one.
reason. Within reason. So like if you're having a situation where, you know, their kids are coming in your environment and you know that that parent doesn't give them red dye or doesn't give them like artificial flavoring. We don't offer Oreo cookies to that kid. Like we don't do that.
Yes.
We respect the other parent and we ask if things are okay before we do it. I have this one mom who's in my life and she's wonderful about this. She spends a lot of intentional time on making sure everything her kids eat is organic and whole foods and all of that stuff, which is fantastic. So I let her know, hey, we're having an event on this day. This is the menu. This is what I'm serving. This is what I think might be okay for your kids. If you want to bring other things, you're welcome to. Like just respectfulness for each side. And that goes with everything. Like if you know that I'm nervous about pools, let's not just, you know, have all the kids go on the water without me. Like let's all just kind of go, well, treat each other the way we want to be treated. Like when it comes to mom stuff.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, I have a friend similar to the mum that you mentioned who is really into healthy eating. And I mean, I am too, but this friend really takes it to the next level. So same thing, whenever her kids are at my house, I know that I need to be, you know, serving them organic stuff and all of that, because, you know, otherwise I'm kind of crossing her boundary, and I respect her boundary. And so, yeah, it's absolutely, we all parent differently. And obviously, as long as, you know, a parent isn't harming or endangering their child, we do need to respect that. One thing that I'm going to leave us on is, for those of us who have more than one child, please don't compare your children, and don't do it out loud. So be very careful that you don't show favoritism and that you don't use language that makes one sibling feel less than the other. That is what I would say, because, you know, we all of our kids are different. Those of us who do have more than one child, and all of our kids have strengths and weaknesses. So my advice would be to, you know, if you have a child who maybe struggles a little bit more than the other one, for example, make sure that the kid who's struggling gets praise, but in the same breath, the child that, you know, isn't struggling doesn't feel that they can't, you know, display or be proud of their accomplishments because, you know, for fear of upsetting the other sibling. So try and treat them equally, certainly, you know, out loud and just in your dealings with them, because that can create some unnecessary sibling rivalry and just kind of jealousy. And that would be my advice to any of those mums listening who have more than one child.
Good advice to give. Okay, guys, so you've heard our unspoken rules of parenting. I know there are probably a million things we're leaving out. So let us know. Hit us up on social media at Momversation Club. And we would love to hear from you about what are your unspoken rules, whether they're in your house, something you've heard, an experience you've had where you learned a lesson hard, like the Ross lady. Let us know. And if you aren't using social media, you can always email us at momversationclub@gmail.com.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Momversation Club.
And if you've enjoyed today's show, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review.
We really hope that today's episode has helped you to feel more seen and less alone in motherhood. Until next time, bye for now.